here with Steven Jackson. We'll get to Joel Embiid in a second, but first, Jazz, the Knicks, and Donovan Mitchell hesitates on the drive, but finishes big.
Now, we thought coming out of college, that's all he's going to be able to do. Now, he's got more game than that, but man, is he explosive.
Young D-Wade. I mean, D-Wade.
Okay.
Yeah, young D-Wade.
Tough start for the year for Donovan Mitchell. Excellent finish so far as Utah is climbing in the standings.
He had the real sophomore slump.
Mavs and Blazers off the pick and roll. Damian Lillard finds Yusuf Nurkic for the dunk, and then the stare down.
I've seen a lot of players do a lot of stuff coming to the end of the season, get ready for the playoffs. He wouldn't be doing that all year.
Nurkic is a guy, though, as tough as you were, you don't want no smoke with Yusuf Nurkic.
Nah, he's a big guy.
He's a big guy and tough guy, scary guy.
Nick said he was looking back at it.
Yeah.
That was look back at it dunk.
Yeah.
A playing game last night, St. John's, Arizona State. Right here, off the missed play, and ASU's Daquan Lake slams home the putback.
One of James Harden's teams got a win last night. His alma mater, Arizona State. They make it to the real NCAA tournament. Congrats to them. This is
Man, a lot of people don't realize Harden went to Arizona State.
Because he didn't have the beard.
Yeah.
His last college game played against Syracuse. Syracuse beat him, but turned into the player he is now.
What did I tell you about forcing them to the
Celtics
show,
and
man?
Sixers last night. Sixers hadn't beaten Boston yet this season. Third quarter, Joel Embiid, big night for him, gets past Jason Tatum, finishes the N1. He had 37 points. He had 22 rebounds on the night. Less than a minute to go now. Tied game. Ben Simmons, watch him hit the layup and the foul shot. Down 3 next possession. Boston back in it. Kyrie Irving drives, gets denied though by Joel Embiid. Not going to happen, my friend. Then Jimmy Butler. Work it, nail the jumper. Less than 6 seconds to go to put Philly up by 5. Celtics led by double digits most of the first half in this one, but the Sixers win it 118-115. Here's Joel Embiid after the game.
First of all, I'm glad we got the win. Second of all, this is one of the best defensive players in the league. And third of all, I've been hearing that these guys can guard me better than anybody else, so I just have to come out there and show that I'm the most unstoppable player in the league.
You feel me?
I mean,
You feel me?
He had a list. First of all, second of all, and now let me get to this.
but because he was putting down, it was like when I talk to my kids, I'm like, listen, let me tell you the
Cassidy
first
Holland
three
is a great
things.
reporter. She's also
She's
very
like
small,
this
and
small.
Embiid's 7'2".
Stephen, is Joel Embiid right that he's the most unstoppable player in the NBA?
Yes, and he's also showing it on both ends. Last game when they played Milwaukee, Greek Freak had a tough first half because they had Embiid on him. Last night, he makes the big block on Kyrie.
Oh, and the switch,
So he was dominant the whole game on offense. So he's definitely the most dominant player on both ends of the court right now, and he's showing it on offense. And some of the moves he's making as a big man, putting the ball on the floor, crossing over, spinning, getting and
Did you see the dribble handoff, and then he cupped the ball and
came back
faked
with,
it and crossed up?
Yes, you can't teach that. He's coming into his own. He should feel like he's the most dominant player in the league because he's playing like it right now.
I know he made 20 of 21 free throws, 37 and 22. Everyone's going to focus on that part of it. The defensive play he made on Kyrie at the end, he's one of the only guys in the league that can do that. He was beaten.
Yes.
Kyrie got exactly where he wanted to. And for Embiid to off the wrong foot.
And he avoided him.
Right.
Yeah.
He dipped his shoulder.
Yes, got out the way.
To avoid the foul and then get it with his offhand.
Can't teach that.
It was, and Tobias Harris knew it because on the celebration after Butler hits the shot, everyone's going over to Jimmy Butler. Tobias Harris grabs Embiid and says, "You did this."
Yes.
Because it was this possession that led to the Jimmy Butler shot to ice it. He is, at the beginning of the year, when we did MVP picks, I said Giannis, you said Embiid. And the argument for Embiid was, if he continues his evolution, now that the health worries are behind him, and I think they are, like he hasn't had any lower body, he had the eye socket thing last year, but that's a fluke. If he continues the progression on both ends, he presents something no one else in the league does, which is his size combined with his agility. This is where the soccer background helps him. This is where you saw the Akeem comparisons when he was at the University of Kansas, because he's a big man that runs well. Sometimes you watch these oversized guys run up and down the court and you're like, okay, well, That's not, they're going to have a ceiling because they're lumbering or they're not smooth. He runs like a 6'7" guy.
His footwork is great.
It's unbelievable.
And that's where Shaq was when Shaq was young.
Yeah.
Shaq ended up gaining weight, but the thing that Joel Embiid had, man, he's got that handle. Like Shaq only had a couple moves in the paint. Now he was Diesel. But Joel Embiid, from the three-point line, with the classic ball fake, putting it on the deck.
Euro.
Oh, I mean, like it's almost unfair to be able to see the way that he's developed. He's one of the most talented centers that we've ever been able to see, and because he has that electrifying personality, that's why I believe he's the next face of the NBA. Even the soundbite right there with Cassidy, he's got enough presence. He's a little tired, all right? And he bends down and he makes a list. He wasn't confused. He expressed himself. That's why he's going to be the face of the NBA, electrifying personality.
He's also coming into his own at the right time with, 10, 9, how many games left in the regular
10 games
season?
left. They're now locked into the 3 seed.
How big was this win for the Sixers last night?
It was big because, they was always saying Boston always come there and have their number.
Yeah.
Especially in Philly. But going into the playoffs, you want them to play well. But this team, the way they won last night was big. Not only Joel playing well, but Jimmy being their closer. Ben having some key plays down the stretch. You want everybody to play well. Riddick didn't even shoot that well, and they was able to win that game. So to have your star players play well, going down the stretch, going to the playoffs, that's exactly what you want.
And I still think, despite this win, Boston's a bad matchup for him. I've been down on Boston all year, but they play Philly very well, and the playoffs are a series of matchups. Now they don't got to play Boston.
Right.
The only way they play Boston in a series now, with Boston locked into the 4-5 and Philly locked into the 3, is if both make the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's what we want.
Well, that's might be what you want. I'd like to see a Milwaukee-Philly Eastern Conference Finals, but neither here nor there. The other part with Embiid, we spend a lot of time talking about LeBron struggles with the free throw line. If he's not going to hit 20 or 21 every game, but if he's a reliable 20 of 21 is tough. That'd be the greatest free throw shooter in NBA history. But neither here nor there. The point is, if he can hit 80+%, which he's been doing, then in the playoffs, it's so tough because you can't foul him.
Yeah.
And his ability with the touch around the rim to create and ones, we know nobody's going to be able to physically match up with him. Like Boban's the only guy in the league that might be able to look over him. And so there is a real utility to what he can do with the foul line.
And not only he's drawn so many fouls, but outside of Ben Simmons, all the other 4 starters are shooting 80% from the line. So Joel Embiid is eating those fouls. And then whoever you foul outside of Ben Simmons at the end, they're going to be able to close you out because that's another effect on the game. The reason why I like is to piggyback off of your point is that styles make fight in boxing. But if you're going to be a great team, you need to have a certain style. Joel Embiid going to grind it out for the first 3 quarters, and Jimmy Butler's going to be able to close them out. We need to give Philly credit, too, that they've grown. They've made a couple different trades. But since the November 12th trade of Jimmy Butler, man, he's increased his scoring every month. Starting in the month of December at 5.3. Now he's up in March to 7.8 scoring in the 4th quarter. So when you get those defined roles, it becomes easier for Ben doesn't have to score. He doesn't have to run the team in the 4th quarter. JJ Redick knows his role. Tobias knows his role. So I'm with you. Is the style for which they won, I believe, was very important.
And to have now, you have Tobias and Jimmy. You got 2 defenders on that wing now going into the playoffs that they didn't have at the beginning of the season. So all that's a plus for him. And I have some information for y'all because I got dinner with Jimmy tonight, so I have some information for y'all.
Nice.
Oh, tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yeah, tell him I need some new Jordans. He gave me those ones the first game in Philly. He gave them to me off his feet. I was on the court.
Thank you for joining us. Bon appetit. Got to take a break.
14s, we the same size.
All right, coming up is Dwayne Haskins, best quarterback in the draft. We'll hear from the Ohio State quarterback next on First Things First. We'll get back to me.
I mean, Mike's son takes care of me, Mark.
The 76ers locks up the 3 seed for him, which is critical in the Eastern Conference, gives you a first-round matchup where you will be a heavy favorite, and it guarantees they will not have to play the Boston Celtics in the playoffs unless both teams make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Despite the win last night, Boston is a bad matchup for them. There's a reason that Boston going into this game had won 10 of the last 12, had swept the season series, that Boston presents a lot of problems for them, and if they had lost, they would be in the danger zone. They'd be only 2 up on Boston. Boston obviously would have the tiebreaker, having swept the series. So an enormous win, and the way they won. Obviously, Embiid was dominant, but how about Jimmy Butler? 7 points through 3 quarters, and then did what he needs to do. He was their fourth quarter answer with 15 in the fourth. This was a critical win for Philly. They're not going to get to the 2 line, but now they guarantee themselves they won't fall to the 4 line. Their best win of the year.
I thought it was important, of course, for the obvious reasons because of the way Boston has dominated them, but the style for which the